A frightening new turn in the fight against ISIS. Word that the militants are suspected of unleashing chemical weapons in recent attacks.
Mustard gas.
Mustard gas.
A banned chemical weapon
Outlawed nearly a century ago.
The allegations are,
quote, credible.
But officials believe this is a dangerous new escalation.
So there you have it. Multiple reports talking about ISIS now using chemical weapons against civilians in Syria. Also, a humanitarian group recently confirmed the assault after the group's hospital was flooded with patients showing symptoms of chemical exposure this month. The Pentagon said ISIS was also suspected of using chemical weapons in an attack against Kurds in northern Syria. And joining me right now to go in depth on these disturbing reports is Thomas Sanderson. He's the director and senior fellow of the Center for Strategic and International Studies and their Transnational Threats Project. Thomas, it's great to talk to you.
Thank you. Good to be on. I appreciate it.
All right. In addition to all those reports, military.com is also talking about these initial tests showing that ISIS has, in fact, used mustard gas. This, the article said, would represent a major escalation. Where is ISIS getting these chemical weapons from?
Well, they could be legacy weapons left over from the Iraqi forces, or it could be something that they were able to get from Syrian stockpiles. Again, none of these countries were fully honest about what they've had in the past or what they may have now. So we just don't know where they may have sourced it. But the bottom line is, if they're using it, then it's a significant change on the battlefield.
Why would they choose to target these two specific groups, the Kurds and parts of Syria, and not use them on the Syrian army, which has also used chemical weapons, or the regular Iraqi army?
Sure. Well, it all depends on where they had access to these weapons. Now, they may have had them in one place and were unable to carry them across a distance to use them against Syrian forces. I think they probably just made the best tactical decision at the time.
All right. Well, Marine General Kevin Kalea, who's running the show over there in that part of the world, says, quote, from a coalition perspective, we really don't need another reason to hunt down ISIS. We can kill them wherever we can, whenever we can. But how does this affect the way the coalition will and can attack ISIS in terms of the prep that our advisors and the coalition forces need to combat these kinds of threats?
I don't think it changes it much, because right now we're only attacking them from the air. And it doesn't matter what they're using for weapons. We're going to find out where they are, and when we do...
But does it impact... We already hear, though, about the Iraqi army's lack of fight, perhaps. Maybe there's a better term out there. But this certainly has to be another disincentive for them to take on ISIS in a direct way.
Oh, no doubt about it. The fear of chemical weapons would certainly, push some people away from the battlefield. And again, we have seen very poor performance by Iraqi forces in many battles, some good performances as well. But nonetheless, this is certainly something that could scare them. And there's no doubt that is not lost on ISIS when they think about this. And they could certainly hold their cards close to their chest and not give any indication as to how much of this they have, and make the Iraqi security forces believe that they have it dispersed around the country and ready to be deployed.
Well, I want to talk about the Kurds a little bit more. There are some Americans that have gone over to Iraq to fight ISIS. One of them is a guy named Ryan O'Leary. He's a combat vet, U.S. combat vet in Iraq and Afghanistan. But he says right now he's actually taking the fight directly to Iran, and he believes the Kurds face an even bigger threat from Iran than they do from ISIS. I'm quoting him here. There's no difference between Iran and ISIS. They do the exact same things to these people. It's just not reported as much. Why does the Obama administration refuse to help out the Kurds in a more substantial way, endorse their independence perhaps? Are we turning our backs on these people to save the Iranian nuclear deal?
No, I don't think we're doing that for the nuke deal. We are certainly going lighter on the Kurds for a number of reasons. Because of sensitivities in Iraq and Baghdad over the potential dissolution of the country. But even more importantly, it's the Turks we're worried about. They're very sensitive over the capabilities of the Kurdish folks in both Syria and in Turkey, and of course in their own country. I don't think the Iranians are the key issue here. We had a very specific deal. It dealt with nuclear weapons. I know that there are other things in the environment and rotating and circulating around all of these negotiations, but I think it's more about the Turks and the Iraqis.
Yeah, we just got that right, the rights to the Air Force Base in there in Turkey, obviously a sensitive situation, a lot of moving parts. Let's talk a little bit more about the Iranian nuclear deal. President Obama admits it won't stop Iranian-backed terrorism in the region, but will it allow Iran to do more with groups like Hezbollah? Some suggest that the first war to erupt as a result of this nuclear deal would be between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Hezbollah is an intelligent organization. They are a terrible organization, but they are very intelligent. they have a big fight on their hands right now in Syria. They're not going to suddenly turn around and attack the Israelis, I don't believe. Now, will the Iranian nuclear deal put more money in the coffers of the Iranians so that they can boost spending on Hezbollah and other groups? Likely, but they already get plenty of money. Hezbollah is already engaged in a lot of business activities. They can conduct and execute operations at will in certain areas. But I don't think this is going to create a wholesale vectoring of Hezbollah forces against Israel. Yes, they did engage them in a battle several years ago, and they fought them quite successfully in many areas. But I don't think this is going to be a fundamental turnaround for the fortunes of Hezbollah. It will in marginal ways here and there, but again, this is speculation. We just don't know what's going to happen as this plays out.
Yeah. Thomas Sanderson, thanks so much for being with us. Great talking with you.
You're welcome. All the best.